Year three, folks. One, two, three. Year three of college football time with Avery Miguel. I'm Miguel, Mike Medina. This is my partner, Avery Jones. Avery, we made it to year three.
Oh, absolutely. It's very exciting, Miguel. I've been telling all my friends how we're going to start season 3 and pumpkin spice is back in stores. Kids are back in school. It's time for college football.
For sure, for sure. And we're going to start off with the first one, Georgia versus Clemson. Georgia, number 1 seed. Clemson, number 14 seed. This one excites me. We have two great head coaches both side to side with success. Georgia, they have still a lot of talented, experienced players on both offensively and defensively. Clemson, they have an elite defensive seven, right there. So it's gonna be an interesting matchup. If Clemson some way, somehow they upset Georgia, they will be only the sixth team in history to defeat a number one ranked team in season opener. And like you always say, on any given Saturday, anyone can be beaten, so it can happen. Clemson is 13-5 in the last 18 games against SEC opponents. Um, but yeah, I like that Clemson has an elite defensive front seven rotation. Georgia has experienced players on both ends of the floor. Clemson, they're 14 points underdogs in this game. So take it from there, Avery.
You're right. Clemson has a shot. They are bringing back returning quarterback Cade Kublik, and with Georgia's quarterback Carson Beck, he's in his fifth year. He's going to see if he can make things happen, but he's probably going to have to trust the Georgia defense to make that happen for him. They are playing in Atlanta. Atlanta is like a rocking stadium for Georgia Bulldogs fans. Interesting enough, the schools aren't that far apart. They're only about 75 miles apart. So, an hour and a half, you're probably going to have a lot of Clemson Tiger fans making the trip as well. But I see this being a very close matchup as long as Clemson can stay contained, as far as Cade Kublik cannot get rattled. The over under is 48 and a half. Considering how Clemson opened their season last year with a loss against Duke, I'd like to see them turn it around if they can upset Georgia. However, I'm still going to give this to Georgia. They've locked up their head coach. Their head coach has this really great philosophy when it comes to the players that are coming in to play for him. So I would like this game to be close, but I'm going to give it to Georgia 30 to 27. I'm going to say this is going to be like the Georgia Tech Florida State game last week. I'm going to say a walk-off field goal uh, keeps Georgia from not being upset in a home opener.
Not bad, not bad. I have Georgia 28-24. I don't believe that it's going to be a double digit loss for Clemson, but there's a part of me, there's a part of me that wants to see an upset to kick off on week one. But we'll see. We'll see. But Clemson's defense have to do their part. Make sure that they protect their quarterback, right? Because this Georgia team, they're not going nowhere. They're still that elite team. It doesn't matter if they lost last year. They're still a very great team.
Georgia, Georgia is all about a championship. Georgia is all about a championship, even with the new playoff scheme coming into effect. Georgia is national championship or bust this year.
For sure, for sure. Next up, Notre Dame versus Texas A&M. This one excites me because I wrote an article for Fansided. Shout out to Fansided about Notre Dame and Texas A&M. This is only their sixth face-off. The first one was back in 1988, in which the Aggies won 35-10. So these two teams, they don't meet frequently, like the way we see with these other matchups. So there's been some question marks for both quarterbacks on both sides of the team. Um, I do like Notre Dame's defense. I feel like their defense gives them an edge in this game. So offensively, we don't know what to expect from either team. So we don't know what's gonna happen. Both teams do have new offensive coordinators. They're both good. So, but I'm gonna give Notre Dame the edge on a defensive standpoint. So I have Notre Dame winning this game 17-10.
Yeah, you have it as a low scoring affair.
Yeah, I'm
It
shocking
could be
everybody with
low.
this one.
It could be low scoring, I think, in the first half. I think it might open up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to get like out of control, like in the 30s or the high 20s. I see it being maybe about a 24-20 game or 24-17 game. The Aggies have a lot to prove. They have a new coach, Mike Elko. He wants to start off strong. He wants his team to be competitive in that all competitive SEC conference. Notre Dame had a really great year last year. They were 10-3. I'm always going to have, a bit of an issue with Notre Dame because they're not in a conference. But if they were to be in a conference, these wonderful matchups that we're seeing here, especially with Texas A&M, they could be more frequent. To see Notre Dame play Texas, to see Notre Dame play a Clemson or a Georgia or an Alabama or a Washington or, or USC. There are a lot of great schools that Notre Dame could showcase their talent if they were in a conference. But that is neither here nor there, personal opinion. But I see Notre Dame taking the most of going down to College Station, giving the Aggies a chance to either, okay, you can beat Notre Dame or you can be beat by Notre Dame. So I see this to be close, but Notre Dame wants to start off strong. Head coach Freeman, he wants to keep their team focused because again, with the new playoff scheme, they have a lot of potential to make a championship run. And in order to do that, you have to start off strong. So I see it being close in the first half, kind of like your score that you want to see end. But I'm going to give it to Notre Dame. I'm still going to keep it close, but I'm going to give it to Notre Dame 24-20.
Respectable, fair enough. I like Coach Freeman. I really want this guy to succeed with Notre Dame. Notre Dame is one of those programs that I've always respected ever since I was little. And the movie Rudy had a big reason why I respected Notre Dame's program and why I went into deep into their history and everything like that. So Rudy, I don't care what anyone says. I know there are some people that that they find it like overrated, but Rudy, to me, from a football movie standpoint, will always have a special place in my heart. I will never get tired of watching that movie, especially when it comes around this season. I always watch Rudy. So that movie, whether I because it's a biopic, obviously a lot of things are not going to be 100% on the money, but just the determination behind the story, the fact that everybody was telling this guy that it couldn't be done, that is not for him, that is not the fact that he went to the extra miles, to get to where he wanted to go. Like I said, that movie will always have a special place in my heart, and that's why Notre Dame. I'm a Miami Hurricane fan, and yes, Miami Hurricane and Notre Dame had, some deep rooted hatred in the 80s when there was Lou Holtz versus Jimmy Johnson. But I always respected the hell out of Notre Dame, their program, their history. Lou Holtz, I love him. I have his book, by the way. I read it every weekend. But Notre Dame, man, that's a program that I always respected. And under Coach Freeman, I want to see them win at some point.
I agree with you. Notre Dame has a storied history, even with the movie Rudy kind of, sharing some light on it. The entire history of Notre Dame, with it, even going back to the legendary Four Horsemen, it's very intriguing, and I think that's one thing I love about college football, just the determination of these young men that love the game, that want to succeed in it, to bring a light to not just them but their teammates, to their school. And you're right, Rudy is a great movie. There are a lot of great football movies, but one of my favorites is, Remember the Titans, and granted that takes place in high school, but I love, movies that are in college because you're leaving in a way your childhood to step into adulthood. And with college football, for a lot of young men, that is their way to not only grow up, but to find their responsibility, to take advantage of the responsibility as they are given. If they are on this team, they want to succeed, whether it be winning the game, whether it be getting the ball, whether it be scoring, the winning touchdown. There's a lot of interesting stories, whether it's, movies created to entertain us or just stories that we hear in the illustrious history that is college football. So college football is back, all these wonderful schools, all these great histories, interesting matchups this year, like we say, any given Saturday. But college football is awesome. And anybody who just, dips a toe in college football can enjoy it any way they like. And I love it.
Yes, yes. But week one is here, and I want to end it with this. Speaking of football movies, I don't know if you've seen a movie called Greater. If you haven't, I'm gonna recommend you to watch it. It's on Netflix, I believe it is. I think it's on Tubi as well. But I feel that this is one of those movies that you're going to enjoy. It's heartfelt, it's inspiring. So I'm gonna send you the information of that, and hopefully one day we'll make a video to talk about that particular movie. That number one and number two. Oh my God, I'm afraid I was gonna say number two. Oh yes, I remember now. We don't know, we can't predict how our lives are gonna turn out to be in 5, 10 years from now, or where we will be in the future. But I will guarantee you this, Avery, that right now, at the age of 33, I am living the dream in the sense that I'm writing and I'm talking about college sports, especially college football. That's something I never thought I would have imagined saying because for so many years I've neglected college sports, but then I got to a certain point in my life where I fell in love with it and I resonated with. If you go to college, if you're a student athlete or not, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna say like, I went to college, I experienced this, etc. So not to the magnitude like the way these men are, these college kids are nowadays, but the fact that I get to do this, create content, collaborate with other content creators, write about it, speak about it, money or not, I'm doing it. That's a dream come true. So obviously we want more, we want to aim for more, but the fact that we're doing it, we're not waiting, we're doing it. That's a mission accomplished.
For a lot of people, Miguel, it's a coulda, woulda, shoulda. Why didn't I do this? You know, you're admitting age, I will admit mine. I am 45 years old. The idea of a podcast or doing a podcast, the fact that I love sports was always in the back of my mind. And it took a few years to kind of press the record button. Then taking that course and us meeting in that sports broadcasting course and discovering our love of college football. And I agree with it. Now, my college degrees were not on campus. I got mine online. So I didn't enjoy the, college experience of going to games, but still I enjoy watching these young men and women, student athletes, put all their heart and soul into a sport they love and to achieve their dreams and inspire anyone else to do it. Because let's look at college sports in the past 5 years that has elevated individuals as well as elevated the sport. And college football is kind of one of those on the forefront that we see all the time. But I think in the future, we're going to put a lot of focus on collegiate athletes and college sports to where it's just a stepping stone. And just like they say, our formative years are in high school, formative years can be in college too, as well as learning, as well as gaining responsibility, as far as persevering. Because even we've seen a lot of college athletes, just like you say, people told them, no, you can't do it. Or, some college athletes are like, man, I'm never going to play. And they either make the choice of transferring to get that opportunity, or when their number's called, they make the most of it. And the love we have of college sports, we're going to see it. We're going to see these men and women get their number called, and we're going to see something fantastic. It may not be all the time, but when we do see it, we're always going to think, man, what did I just see?